We should be picking it up now.
People would be finding what name is especially speaking of home. And the neighborhood. Let's see the names that have break down and sub neighborhoods. I'm always on the so we're, logically we call the gradient house. The gradient house. There are. Yes. So it's like the place on board. The number, so there's like 75%. I'm not disagreeing with you. But if more than 3 years, I don't want to know it. Part of the training, part of the board. Too. You know, things different. It's so hard to go by, you know. It's like, someone trying to try to no, do they even know that? No. They're changing again. They're not here.
I think 9 years.
So 7 years, the census, then the year after the census, the council makes the adjustment.
Yeah.
But it should be 8 years.
John, when you started out, how many districts were there?
Well,
12. What was your first year? What was your first year in ANC?
my first year in
When I first started, I was in my 70s.
78.
By,
3 years for the council, here on both of you. Rights of all.
Okay, so it's part of the whole Williams.
It's part of the charter. The line of the charter is, I mean, it's literally 20 words or something like that. And the original law, the council is implementing that part of the charter. I wrote that.
You wrote it.
Yeah, I did something. The implementation law, I worked for the council back.
yes.
I'm very old.
So can I ask, did you work for Jay Clark?
No, I worked.
Oh, I know it was in PhD, my one, but it was super.
I was council from inception, you know, sometime in the early 80s. That time was not going like and then I went and there and
Also gonna do a little bit out of my day. It works
It is weird. Maybe it's,
Okay, well, I'm happy to project a few.
Why don't we get started?
yeah, sorry, we're just trying, because everyone's online, no one wanted to talk in person, basically, so we want to make sure we can see them, but.
But
Yeah, I know.
I don't love the idea of, what should I, what kind of?
Just, log into Zoom and whenever, we just put you on, whenever we need to see a person or something.
Okay, but they can see us anyways, right? And then eventually they can see what's on the screen. I don't, I'm
You're seeing the
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like,
On public record,
I think there's different ways that you do it. Ideally, none of them are efficient. Because we also want them to do feel free stuff, but.
You can just swap the board.
All right, let's just. Get started. I think you heard right, Sean. Okay. Welcome everyone. Sorry for the delay. This is September 2023 meeting of ANC. Thank you for everyone who's attending. This is a second hybrid attempt at having a meeting of the calendar year. So my hotel. Let's just start quick introductions. Looking commissioners online. I just want to check. We maybe move the mic into the middle of the spot or something. That better? Okay, let's see. Yeah. September 2023. Thanks for everyone who's attending. Thanks for the patience. Exactly one second. Everything must work well. Just quick introductions. Let's start with it.
Oh, hi, this is Lawson. Once you're quick, sorry, I got distracted. I'm not very loud.
No, I'm Daniel Michelson Horowitz. I'm in 1C01. That's the southern end of Adams, Oregon, between Connecticut / Columbia and 18th. Yeah. Great to be here.
Peter, 103, it's in the middle, 18 to 19, Children's Home.
John Jones, 109, 16th Street to 17th. And Euclid.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay, Ronnie Shapiro, 1COA, Florida, and 16th in Florida, up to Euclid, and across to Ontario, one side.
Harvard Stevens, 1C05, Harvard, Mansville, Columbia, Ontario, next to Markham Park and Walker Park. And we have the fire station and yeah.
And I'm Dixon, I represent 103, which is the right between Connecticut and Columbia. So it looks like the mic isn't as powerful.
You guys got a speaker on.
Is it picking up on this microphone or that microphone? Sean?
That one.
Yeah, let's definitely do it. Just be loud. Okay. So let me look it up. So next, officers reports, chair's report. I don't think I have anything besides but we're on recess for months, so there's a lot of stuff to catch up on. The full slate. This is like the first consistent period. We've had 9 commissions in place, so that's good. The chairs or the chairs are different. Actually, we'll do secretaries. I don't think he has anything. He's not in attendance as you. We have one commission. Commission Husky is traveling for work. It's Monday.
No one's gonna be back.
In a day. It's just even if you're we go to treasurer's report.
All right, I'm gonna be a little bit.
All right.
All right, so, I've given you all a package of a few sheets that you can know what we're doing. The first thing is, these are the quarterly reports. We have already approved the first quarter and the second quarter. This includes, you'll see the third ANC quarterly financial statement. We need to approve that formally. I'm told, oh, I'm sorry, let's just see this out. I am told that once we approve the third quarter, we will get our final report. From DC. We still have not gotten our fourth quarter. And we have to rectify what their first three disbursements were, but they were close. There were odd amounts, and it may just be a bookkeeping error on their behalf. We should also at this time, approve a budget next year, so you'll see that there's a proposed budget here. I'll set the budget up very, and you give us as much leeway how we spend the money as possible. Every time we go outside of something in this budget, we have to we actually have to formally change something. That's why, I've suggested rather than grants, we include everything under other.
And so a quick interjection, two things, I guess it's
So now pick it up.
I don't know, I've used it like for several hours ago. Maybe just move it over here. Also,
Has to hold the mic to speak. It's passive.
Yeah.
Speak into the mic directly.
But also just to clarify, no, what you said, just because I missed the part of what you're talking about. Treasurer's report.
All right, treasurer's report. All right, so we have two action items that we have to take today. We have to formally approve the third quarter financial statement. That's in your stack here. Our only expenditures in the third quarter. They can, 1 second. Yeah, it's literally all personnel stuff. There's a leftover personnel expenditure from when we actually had employees. We're still working on paying all that off in terms of taxes. Which is one of the reasons I prefer that we don't have an actual employee, that everything's done on a contractual basis. And then the only other real expenditure was to Sean to do the AV work. As of now, in the bank, yeah, I know. Make fun of me all. In the bank, it's actually the actual current bank statement is there for you. And there we go. 952988. We have 3 checks outstanding.
A little way.
One check to Dawn, 1 check to our new intern, and 1 check to the city from February, which they never can cash. But they wanted to know what it was, and because they never cashed it, they now want us to stop payment on it. It will cost us $20 for a $50 check. Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. All right, so the other thing that I would like action on is a fiscal year 24 budget. And you'll see that in there too. The way I've structured it is I've put everything other than communications. I've budgeted 9,000 for communications. Most of that will go to Sean, or if Sean leaves us because he doesn't like us anymore, his successor. And then we can also up that, and then we will have additional money for communication. There is direct office cost of 500. That's our PO box. I wish we could do away with it. It's a waste of money. We literally get almost no mail there. But I don't know how we can do away with it other than piggybacking on someone like the bid. That might not be appropriate. Purchase of services that relates to our intern. Okay, so that's sufficient money to be paying the same amount to the intern for a year, whether it's the same intern or a different intern. Bank charges, that's fairly self-explanatory. Then the leftover, from what our allotment will be, I'll put under other. The reason I'll put it under other is we should make a decision as to whether we want to do grants or whether we want to actually spend money directly. So directly would be, so if we wanted to hire some extra people for cleanups at any point in time, or if we wanted to buy an extra set of cameras, we couldn't actually make grants to organizations to do those things since the city funds those things. We can't make a grant for anything the city already does, but we can do those things ourselves. So one other example would be, we couldn't buy, 100 laptops, $10,000. 100 no,
Maybe not.
no. Let's say 25 netbooks, all right, if we wanted to, for one of the schools, or for an after-school program. We couldn't give a grant to that because that nature expenditure already exists within DC government. But we could do it ourselves. So this will give us a little bit more flexibility, putting all that under other. Is the auditor's office going to squawk at that? Probably. But I think it's a good workaround to give us a little bit more leeway. I don't understand why they prohibit us from giving money in the form of a grant and something that the city's already doing. If we feel there's a need for it, but they do. And I'm doing my best to get along with them. So what I would like first, I would like for the commission to approve the third quarter financial report. That is, it says ANC 1C quarterly financial report FY 23 Q3.
Make a quick point of order, because this is commission announcement or office gross reports. And it's not on the agenda, you have to, when we are about to start the regular agenda, move to adding an agenda.
Sure.
If you want to.
If you want to do it that way, you can do it that way, fine. And then we add it as an agenda item to the proposed budget.
So we can discuss that in 2 minutes.
Okay. And I think that's all I have as treasurer.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know it's a lot of work. Thanks for putting that through, and hopefully we'll get into a good position. Oh, thanks. Yeah. The microphone is good too. It's frustrating. Should be picking things up. I can pick it across my apartment up. Yes, so next, well, we're gonna have to be loud, I guess. Commissioner announcements for SMBs, just because the mics are, want to start over here. You want to do that?
No reports for Wednesday.
This is Daniel 1CO1. I've got someone report for those who are following the school renovation at the Adams campus on 19th Street. We received word from Councilmember Nadeau that after discussions with DCPS, she has determined that it is cost prohibitive to modify the renovation plans. That she's agreed with them that it should go forward as designed, which would be adding a gym building behind the current building and moving the soccer field. And I will say that I'm disappointed. I understand the reasons. I appreciate the meeting that we had with Councilmember Nadeau and with Councilmember Fruman at the school and the opportunity to be heard. I'm disappointed that I feel like the DCPS was a little bit intransigent and stubborn with their designs and moving forward without really opportunity to give feedback early on in the process to prevent this outcome. But that's where we are. I want to applaud all the parents and teachers and neighbors who spoke up on this issue and encourage them to continue to speak up throughout the renovation on other issues. And if folks want to continue raising this issue, I'm happy to stand with you. We have a unanimous resolution from the ANC on this issue. And I also, this is not specific to 1CO1, but we received word a few weeks ago that the Alcohol Control Board had decided to extend and modify the moratorium zone for Adams Morgan. They will extend the moratorium for 3 years while raising
the cap on bar licenses, tavern licenses, to 15, which incidentally is the exact number that currently, exists. Which, I speak for myself, but I believe others would agree, it means no change to the status quo in Adams Morgan, and, it goes against the unanimous resolution of this ANC, and while the board said in their decision that they were giving great weight to the resolution, I am disappointed with how they gave weight to our recommendation, and while they claimed to be issuing a compromise, I feel there was no compromise at all, and really needs no change to the status quo. So I'm disappointed in that. I don't believe that we have avenues to appeal at least easily, and it is for 3 years, so we will revisit that in 3 years. But I just wanted to let the community know about that, and welcome others to chime in as well.
Okay, 103, actually, before I say that, I forgot one important chair announcement. The last time we had a meeting, it went pretty long, and then the line, let me know that they graciously extended the period we can use this physical space, but still we have to finish by 9. So if I end up rushing people, it's because of that, not because I want to, not ready. 103 business, well, I guess it's not just 103, the three of us will collectively be having a cleanup Saturday, September 9th, 9 a.m. For 103, if you're nearby, come to Colorado Park morning, some gloves, some bags. We'll go get some of the side streets picked up in advance of Adams Morgan Day, which is, I don't know why this doesn't do that. Yeah, that's good. And then what else? Continue to be in communication with people at this bridge. There's a large apartment building in 241 on Columbia. The owners had issues with a lot of other properties, or they've been an issue themselves. They're pretty negligent. So really appreciate it for a lot of people that are in that property. So if you're on this meeting tonight, thank you. We'll continue to converse and just hopefully find a way so that the living conditions are better. It's a pretty big building. And I've had a lot of people in the people into with that. Beyond that, I think we're good. That's enough.
Once you're man, the only thing that I was out of town for the month of July, and but before I left,
John, you gotta speak up a little bit.
before I left, I had a meeting concerning doing the recognition of community service provided by the people who Potter's out, the people on the side of Potter's out. And what it involves, and I had to discuss with several of the committees about it, is that they have been providing housing services here and having buildings for a long time. And they've been looking, particularly, they've been looking out for the people who can't afford the housing, market housing. And they've done a great job in keeping people in the neighborhood. We have several huge projects. Several buildings, some of them are nice and big. Then I wanted to give long overdue recognition for the services that I'm not discussing here, but and we're staying out of plan about where we're going. We present the information at the next meeting and how we're going to go about this recognition, because we had some ideas about making sure of using the opportunity to advocate other city services that are available to have in the same process. So we'll be reporting on that in the next answer.
I'm really sorry about this. I don't know why the mic's not picking up.
The online they're saying literally hold it in your mouth.
Oh,
Do it once.
Okay. Okay, I'm not.
So can you let them know?
One COA, which is the southwest corner of the ANC, are continuing to have more and more problems in our radiant housing in terms of the buses and the limos on Pleasant and on Belmont, just stopping and totally blocking the street.
And they don't really, the limos are invariably diplomats. The buses, I've now been told, actually come from the State Department frequently. We're at a point now where, they try, I'll give them credit, they try, but they're apparently unable to, control their clientele. And it may mean that it's an inappropriate use of the facility. Because it is creating a huge problem. And of course, this piggybacks on the fact that they want to build on the other half of the block and make it even worse.
Hello, Margaret of 1205. So one thing is Peter was saying, you're gonna have a cleanup on Saturdays during the 9 AM. Anyone in ANC1C who wants to participate, regardless of we should meet at Colorado Park, and then we'll split up into groups from there. As far as my news, I really don't have that much. The only thing is have a little bit of good news with just a grain of salt here. So as I think a lot of people know, I've been working on 2920 Ontario, that invited vacant curving neglected building. We've been working on it for a long time, and many people have worked on it in there. So we, in the last year or two, we finally got it classified as provided the proper tax penalty, which is 10 times what the normal rate is. So that put pressure on the owner, and it's just very recently, the tax lien on the building is sold at tax sale. What that means is there's no new owner, but he or she can choose to foreclose, and I'm not quite sure exactly what that all entails, but that is a possibility. What I'm hoping is that now that there are much larger sums of money involved because of the higher tax penalty, that doesn't pass on to someone who actually wants to use it properly and care for the building, then in turn, much better for the whole neighborhood. So that's really all the news I have, but like I said, just with a grain of salt. Some things they never forward that book. So that's all I can say. So thank you.
No updates from one to three. If our audio inputs, then our will require output to. Next, we have a presentation from Ashley Wells. We'll be talking about VDOT's street lighting project. Bear with us for a second. Just make sure we can hear you. Here we have everything set up, but apparently that's not true. Actually,
I don't see it.
All right, the college of Ashley's just here. All right, well, we do have one person I know who's asked to speak. Boris. In fact, welcome. What's racist? Really, really bad. Looking like several times.
It's helpful, check with the Zoom mic volume is turned all the way up in the software. But I'm not familiar with this particular device and whether it's how it's lowering, it's coming.
We're also using like a second software too, so that it can have the two inputs. So it might be a matter, but we said, Sean and I tested this out for a couple hours ago, it's working fine. So it's simple. You have, what's the output speaker, Sean? So we can do it's right here, okay.
I don't know if is it connected by Bluetooth to the meeting?
Worst case, we can put it on a computer.
Hello,
I can play audio here. And
It's nice to see.
Just connected.
Hello,
can anybody hear me?
was it connected to both layers?
No, it's not really.
One room.
Hi, if everybody can hear me, this is Trevor's Culpepper with Pepco. How's everybody doing today?
Someone said no way to figure out whether it's. Make this sort of time. Is Traverse is, panelist, yeah.
Hi,
So I
ANC
don't know where
Commissioners,
the-
can you hear me?
Traverse is speaking, so I apologize, we can't figure out where. We have a speaker set up, but apparently it's not. We're just.
Oh, you know what, quality in progress.
We'll just social aspect, but that's. Some other things that are expected. People online can get to us, that's good, but we just can't. Yeah, sorry.
Hello,
about that.
can you guys hear?
Everyone else, disconnect.
Yeah, Sean, can you mute the microphone, Sean? Thank you. There we go. All right, sorry. Maybe that'll be good now. Traverse, go ahead.
Okay, no, that's okay. Thank you very much. I won't be long. Just wanted to provide a few comments during the public comments period. Want to thank very much the ANC Commission for allowing us to come before you to provide an update on the upcoming transmission construction that is scheduled along Ontario Road and Florida Avenue. You might have remembered us coming before you guys a couple of months ago talking about this project. We also sent a letter out as well to community members advising them of the project, which was slated to start in August. That has been delayed, that time frame, and we're hoping to start construction sometime this month, particularly around the end of the month, with construction starting on Ontario Road, just north of the Cube Smart there. Just wanted to share that we also have spoken to Marie Reed Elementary School, the administration there, talked to them specifically about this project, the time frame, and we were able to work with them as well as DDOT to get additional crossing guards to support drop off and pickup times. And we have confirmed with our contractor, which is CW and Sons, who will actually be executing the work, that they will definitely work around the drop pickup times as well, concluding construction before 3:30. So that way that we can accommodate the parents as they pick up their children from school. And you might have remembered us talking about this project as part of the overall capital grid project, which we are going to upgrade the Champlain substation, which construction will begin in 2025. And we will start that construction sometime in 2025. We'll notify you of that. Right now, we're going through the mayor's agent process where we have to get approval for the upgrade. And we are scheduled to speak before the mayor's agent sometime later on in September. And we thank the commission for the letter of support for the design of the Champlain substation. We definitely do appreciate that. And we hope to come before the commission again once these construction starts in later on this month along Ontario and Florida Avenue to give you details around that work. And we hope to have a full community meeting sometime in November to let folks know about the upcoming construction of the Champlain substation, which is slated again to start in 2025. So just wanted to provide that information and see if there are any questions from any commissioners or the audience as well. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your time. Have you heard? I don't know if we got anything. That's not good. It's just.
We're gonna try.
Let me turn off. Okay.
Isn't that? Thank you, Dolores. I don't think we have any questions. So we'll continue with public comments. Like I said, try to keep it relatively brief. We have too many people to speak, right? Just in case it's more hot flash. We have a limited time for tonight. Next on the list is Christian Martin from the welcome, Christian.
Hi, how's everyone? Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, great. Awesome. It's really hard to hear all of you. So I would encourage you to put the mic right at your mouth, like almost like eat the mic. Don't be afraid of it. Put it right at your mouth. Otherwise, it's completely garbled and muffled and you can't hear at all. So really put the mic right at your mouth. Don't be afraid of it. Those of us at home would appreciate it because otherwise your voices just don't get picked up. Yeah, it's I think maybe you need to invest in a better mic. Because it's just and if you turn your head, the mic also doesn't pick it up. So you really have to put the mic right at your mouth. Thanks. Okay. So moving on to more fun things. So some exciting things going on this fall. I think you all know about Adams Morgan Day on Sunday. This is not a bid event, but we are helping the Adams Morgan Community Alliance with the street closure this year, thanks to the Streets for the People grant that we got from the Office of Planning. So this is the second of the 3 street closures that we're doing. And in conjunction with the street closure this Sunday, we're going to be doing a demo of the new barriers that we purchased with the Streets for the People grant money. So we've purchased about $300,000 worth of these Meridian barriers. They weigh 750 pounds each. They're very heavy, but they're actually, Daniel, most men can probably move one of these because there's this really handy tool that they'll demo on Sunday on how you move them around. I could lower it and lift it, but I definitely could not move them. But they're painted bright red and they have the DC flag on them, so they look really cool. Yeah, thanks. We're really excited. So Meridian is going to be here on site all day to show people how they work. But we have a special event, and all of the ANC commissioners should have gotten invitations to this. But at 12:30, we're going to be doing a media event with representatives from a number of DC government agencies. I think Councilmember McDuffie is going to be there. Representatives from Councilmember Nadeau's office are going to be there. Sala Sapari representing the mayor. I think the director of the Office of Planning, hopefully she will be able to be there. But we're going to have a really nice event so people can see the barriers, touch them, learn how they work. Because the ultimate goal in this is that we, the bid, will not own these, but we will donate them back to the city. We use city resources to purchase them, but we'll only use them 3 times a year, and we don't want to have the barriers just sitting in storage all that time. So our plan is to donate them back to the city, either DPW or DDOT, whoever wants to take ownership of them, so that they can be used for street closure events across the city. So, and what you'll see on Sunday is the barriers at Calorama and Columbia Road, and just a cruiser in the middle for the 20-foot fire lane. There's no dump trucks. So, and that's the goal, is to reduce the footprint and simplify this tremendously. So the cruiser will be in the 20-foot fire lane in case there's an emergency and they need to get an emergency vehicle into the area. So 12:30, the event starts at noon. The street closure starts at 11, but at 12:30, come join us, and you'll be able to see how these barriers work. And then immediately following that demo, probably around 1:30, we're going to have a little reception so people can mix and mingle some more at our tent right in front of our office at 2424 18th Street. So there's going to be a lot of people, and we wanted to provide an opportunity for people to continue to chat. So that'll be immediately following that under our blue tent. at 2424 18th Street. So that's a little bit about Adams Morgan Day. We're not doing the programming, so I can't speak to that, but I know there's a lot going on. But I did want to make sure that you all know about the barriers, and hopefully many of you can join us to see how they work. And then coming up in October is the third and final street closure pedestrian zone. That's going to be in conjunction with the Fall Porch Fest. That's our music festival in the fall. That'll be from 2 to 6 p.m. And I'm really pleased to announce that the headliner will be Mark Bryan from Hootie and the Blowfish and his band, the Screaming Trojans. So they will be performing at 5 p.m. And we're going to be able to have 2 main stages this year, both the plaza in front of Truist Bank and then also in Hoffman Alley, right there next to Van Leeuwen Ice Cream. So, so there's going to be a lot of really great music this year. We have at least 20 locations and probably at least 70 bands already confirmed. So it's going to be a really great afternoon. Hopefully weather will be cooperative. And then following that in November, we're going to be doing some more holiday decorations. We're going to be doing a new holiday display in the plaza in front of Truist Bank around the new trees and benches. We've just approved a proposal that we got for that. It's going to be really cool. I think these folks are just going to knock it out of the park. So it's a holiday display, but it's not over the top holiday. But I think the community is really going to like it. So we'll probably be coming back to you later on in October for a public space permit because that will be installed right before Thanksgiving, most likely, and will be up until early January. So anyhow, exciting things to come. I'm happy to answer any questions if people have them about our upcoming events.
Thank you. Next, any questions?
I got one quick question. I'm sorry. Since you're gonna donate them to the city, you're gonna donate them to the city, but you're paying for them. Is there any guarantee that if multiple organizations request them of the city, that the Adams Morgan bid would get the first crack at them?
Yeah, we would in the MOU that we'll have with whichever agency we donate them to, we'll make sure that we get first dibs on using them. But of course, any street closure event goes through the mayor's office of the MedSeg, the mayor's special events task group. So the street closure permits have to be approved by them. So and generally they don't like to do overlapping events because of the demand on police resources. So but yes, we would make sure that that's part of the MOU.
I'm really glad to hear about these barriers, because I hope that it will enable more frequent closures, more events like the ones that everyone has enjoyed this year. You said earlier, I guess it was months ago, an update that we've been approved for 3 closures this year. Does the grant program that the funding came through, is that per closure, or in the coming year, if a closure is cheaper because there are fewer city resources needed to close the street, would we be able to stretch the same funding to have more than 3 closures next year?
Yeah, we're really not sure about the closures next fiscal year. Now, granted, Porch Fest is happening at the start of the fiscal year, but that's still using 2023 dollars. So the Office of Planning does not have additional Streets for the People grant money for 2024. They've already told us that this is the last year of that funding. So unless DEMPED's special events fund can pay for MPD, it's going to be very difficult to do future pedestrian zones because the MPD expenses are so high. So for a single day. So now the barriers will reduce, the dump truck costs. They're telling us we don't have to have a dump truck, but we still have to have traffic control officers. We still have to have MPD. So I'm really not sure. That's the short answer. I'm hopeful that that DEMPED's special event funding will still be available, but I'm just not sure.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Kristen. I appreciate it. We move to the next on the list, and please, welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to speak. My name is Kevin. I'm with Councilmember Nadeau's office. We're currently in summer recess, so I don't have a whole bunch of legislative updates, but I did want to share with you a bill that the council member introduced right before summer recess called the Fraudulent Vehicle Tag Enforcement Amendment Act. So Councilmember Nadeau introduced this legislation to address the proliferation of long expired and counterfeit temporary vehicle tags, in addition to vehicles with plates that are intentionally obscured to avoid automated enforcement. This legislation gives DPW and other enforcement agencies authority to immediately tow and impound cars whose owners have disregarded the law by having clearly counterfeit, obscured, or long expired plates. Currently, under the law, even a vehicle with no license plate cannot be towed unless it has 2 or more unpaid tickets. This piece of legislation would also empower DC government to proactively investigate and shut down dealers and distributors of falsified and counterfeit temporary tags, classifying that as an act of forgery. The bill would also require the mayor to maintain a directory to help enforcement agencies identify legitimate and fraudulent tags from around the country, requiring for enforcement agencies what is already expected of bars. Summer recess is about to end, and this piece of legislation will be referred to a committee or committees for consideration in mid-September. And that's all updates I have for now. I'm happy to answer any question or relay questions that I do not know the answer to back to my office.
Thank you so much. Anyone have any questions? We'll wait until it gets into legislative season. We'll come back. That's fine. It's not gonna- anyone else you want to speak? You can switch to video. Yeah, we can sit in speak. Oh, supposedly there's a microphone in there too. If it doesn't work, we'll just give it to you. We'll see what the people on the side. Yeah. So that's good. Let's just play it just. So I'm wondering if that's the one that's picking up too.
Yeah, that's the microphone, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, everyone, I'm Vikram Surya. I'm just met some of you, a number of you for some time. I am part of a team that is putting on a public art and film installation at Walter Pierce Park, and I just want to come and just express my gratitude to the ANC for supporting the project when it was in its initial stages last summer. The project got support from the DC Commission on Arts and Humanities. We've worked hard as a really diverse group to make it something that we can all be proud of and really have a meaningful experience of. It is unusually large. It's 400 feet long and 6 feet tall and wraps the entire fence at Walter Pierce Park. This is my biased opinion. It looks beautiful. So I really encourage everyone to come check it out. It's all about our neighborhood. It's all about how the Adams Morgan organization helped spearhead the whole movement for neighborhood governance in the city, and can still inspire us today. So it opens this Sunday, and we'll have 3 film screenings. So in addition to the 400 foot fence wrap, there is going to be a 30-minute documentary film, and that will screen at 7:30 on Sunday night, this Sunday night of Adams Morgan Day, as well as again on Friday the 22nd, and again on the closing night, which will be September the 30th, Saturday, September 30th. So it'll be up for a total of 3 weeks, and there'll be 3 opportunities to see the film. And anytime in those 3 weeks, you can actually go and take in the fence wrap. And I just encourage folks to bring their headphones when they come to walk through the fence wrap, because there are a number of multimedia pieces where you can just point your phone at a QR code and listen in. So it's really been a privilege to be able to work on this and now to be able to share it. And so I hope everyone can come out and reshare it. And I'll be sending after this meeting to all of you commissioners a little blurb that you can pass on if you want. Thank you. Oh, forgive me. Can I have just one more moment? Okay. This is about for folks that are interested, the litigation about the plaza at 18th and Columbia. I facilitate one of the co-plaintiff organizations along with KCA. I'm a facilitator with Adams Morgan for Reasonable Development. I just wanted to share publicly that there's a couple of updates. One is that our attorney, who's been on the case for 6 years now, Paul Zuckerberg, retired. A former ANC commissioner from this commission stepped up to take on the case, Amanda Fox Perry. We are slated to have our first hearing with a new judge. And if you'll recall, a couple of years ago, we got a difficult decision from a not very friendly judge that was totally reversed in December by the Court of Appeals. And so now it's back before the lower court. Our hope is either to move it to a settlement quickly at this point, because the Court of Appeals decision was really very favorable. And if Truist is not willing to come back to the table and have a good conversation with the community about it, to go ahead with what Judge Edelman in 2017 had requested, which was a speedy jury trial that was blocked by Truist for a number of years. So that's where the legal sort of process with the plaza stands now. And I'm just really grateful. This ANC has voted 5 times to encourage the city agencies as well as the Attorney General to get involved as appropriate and to support open space and to have a library at that site. And so very grateful for all the work the ANC's done and for being able to share that. Thank you.
So I might have been comments in the chat the wrong way. So if you didn't see like the comments, we do have someone here to speak about the DS life limit. So Norman Moss.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, everyone can hear me?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and can I share my screen?
Good question. We're about to find out.
Yes.
Yeah, you got it. Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Trying to see, I'm sharing, but trying to get it in presentation mode, but I'm not sure if oh, here it is. Don't get it. There we go. Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. Don't want to take too much of your time, but we are excited to share information about the DC Smart Street Lighting Project that is impacting all 8 wards. So just to jump right in, we do have a lot of community benefits for this project that's impacting DC, the modernization of over 72,000 streetlights, increasing sustainability efforts, reducing streetlight energy consumption by more than 50% and eliminating 38,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions each year. So obviously it impacts the neighborhood at the grassroots level, but also as a whole for the entire district. Talking about our timeline and getting this work done, we started this work back in May of 2022, and we've been progressing steadily with the rehabilitation work. And this is going to go through 2037. And the conversion work that's taking place, we'll get into that a little bit, but also just making sure that we maintain and update the poles and everything that we need to make sure that everything is good for our lighting projects, that the LED lights that are going in, not just the bulb themselves, but actually maintaining the entire pole. And so as you can see, we are doing groups. So we started with group 1, Group 2, and then Group 3 will be impacted lastly. Really, again, making sure that we are hitting every ward, and each ANC is going to be split into bundles with less than 5 bundles per ANC. So we're going to work within a bundle and not be in a space longer than 14 days. So making sure again that as we do the light installations, we're doing it in groups, and the whole community isn't inconvenienced with us getting the trucks in and out of the community and things of that nature. And of course, like to upgrade the foundations, the poles, and the arms, make sure those are in good condition, as well as when we are changing the lights to the LED lights that are coming to the district, that are in the district actually. So again, the assets management portion of this is just basically street light maintenance. And I talked about this timeline earlier, making sure that we're hitting all 8 wards, and we did them in groups, and this work continuing through May of 2037. And yeah, so what we're doing is making sure that we are notifying in advance. Of course, that's like us being here right now, talking to you, the ANC, with notice to the ANC first, and then to the community, making sure that everyone is aware. Before we start work, we're going to leave door hangers for residents and information cards, business cards, things of that nature. So you have this information. If we do have to put out no parking signs, that's going to be put out 72 hours prior to the start of work, so you have time to prepare. Once again, if you need to move your vehicle because the utility trucks are coming in to change out the lights to the LED lights. Very simply, we want to stay in contact with you. Of course, if you have any questions, any further information that you want to know about the project, you can stay connected with us. We do have this QR code that you can scan with your camera to go straight to the website. The website is streetlights.dc.gov. We do have the hashtag that's on social media, hashtag DC Smart Streetlights. And we have our email address that is readily available, info@dcsmartstreetlights.com. But once again, our goal is to make sure that communities are lit and safe, and that as we are doing the conversions, we are maintaining and upgrading the poles as needed in each of the communities. Do we have any questions?
Any questions? Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for your patience. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you all adjusting as well.
She's still on. She's still on.
That's one question, but
Yeah, I see there is a question in the chat. I think it's just one question in the chat. When is the ANC 1 Adams Morgan schedule for new lights? This is actually it should be happening in the next few months. We should be in your community for I think your group 3, if that's correct. So we should be coming to your community, and once again, we'll put out those notices, so we won't be in your neighborhood and you're unaware. So you'll get the notices in advance when we're going to be on your street. Yeah, yes, December is a safe month to say.
thank you so much. I believe that concludes our public comments tonight. So we'll move on to our regular agenda. Couple items. First, the consent agenda can strike the minutes. This is my fault. We have a new intern. She's great so far. I sent her the wrong link to July's video, because she wrote the minutes for our ABC committee. I don't know how I messed up the link, but I did. So she took very good minutes, probably too thorough. They could probably less thorough. She doesn't need to go much time into that. We don't have the actual relevant minutes that we needed, so we'll just push it forward. The work in progress, she's new, and like I said, that was my fault. So no consent agenda items for tonight, and we're just gonna couple it with the minutes from this meeting, assuming that we can get the audio, but I'm taking notes as well, just in case. So regular agenda, I have one item that came in, also partially no fault, this is slightly under the 7-day public notice requirements. So I'm going to move to consider adding an item which is, because of our August recess, there's some items that is gonna get hard to match up with meetings. This is one of them, which they have the scheduled historic preservation review for meeting. I think it's them. Basically, it's the end of this month. So
HPR, HPR.
I think it's there.
Yes.
2020 Allen Place. Can I get a second to discuss adding this?
Second.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't really have any other comments, just basically. The timing was weird, they've been very communicative, they've been very helpful, so at least one's here tonight, just speak on it, you know, to the agenda. So, any other questions, Alice, on it? All right, so I'll move to add this to the agenda, or so we'll take it to a vote, excuse me. All those in favor of adding, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any extensions? Right, that's 7-0. So they'll be added, for those who are here, you'll be, I apologize, the last item on the agenda, but I promise I won't add to.
Did you already add? Because there were two things to the agenda.
If you want to move it.
Yeah, I move that we add. I move that we add approval of both the budget, the FY24 budget and the third quarter financial reports in the agenda.
Second.
All right, all in favor of the? Aye. Any opposed? Any exceptions? So I'll take back what I said. That'll be the last item on the agenda. 2023 Allen Place, it's penultimate item on the agenda. So we do have a few that came from the July Alcoholic Beverage Control Committee. I don't think that it will take too long. You have, I think some people can tell them, but we did discuss them more thoroughly at the committee meeting. I don't think there's any opposition to anything. There was discussion of several areas, but we'll hit them individually. First item is regarding the incoming Foxtrot, which would be where the old piece was at the corner of Adams Mill and corner, or excuse me. That is two, there's, I think they have multiple applications going through. The ones that we were introduced so far are the restaurant license Class C and Class B full service groceries that were on premise and off premise alcohol consumption. There's no opposition or really much concern. They were really keen to, I don't remember if anyone's joined tonight from talk about or the representation. If you'd like to add any comments, feel free to raise your hand. It's not required. Commissioners, any questions, comments? There's, it was a pretty simple one. They do think for a checkbook, by the way.
While they're not a chain, they are while they're not a chain, they are national. They really seem to have their act together. I would move that we approve their request for the for both licenses.
Second your motion. Any other questions, comments, points of discussion? All right, go to vote. All those in favor of approving both the Class B and Class C license, support for both of those from the ANC. Aye. Aye. Opposed? Any extensions? Move along. Next item on the agenda is Class D. Yeah, this was the committee meeting where we hit almost every type of license that exists. Well, not quite. Don't speak too soon. So this is for New Queens Cafe, 2405 15th Street Northwest. It's for Class D restaurant license. Again, I don't remember really too much besides kind of similar to the last item that was pretty smooth. I answered the voting support this. Anyone have questions, comments, concerns regarding this item? I'll move to vote in support of this application as well. I get a second. I take it back. It was out of committee, so forget whatever this says. But thank you. All those in favor of supporting the trustee for this act? Any opposed? No extensions? That's the answer. 7-0. Next item on the agenda is regarding Federalist foot pig. Again, committee in favor of the ordinance. Class C, Class C. They are, it's a substantial, excuse me, a substantial change to their license. Correct me if I'm wrong. They wanted to add.
They've actually already added the seating. It's quadrupled the size of the restaurant. They're locally owned. They have a very good reputation. I don't think we had any problems at all with them.
Those are my thoughts as well. You saw this picture, so we got the same summary. I'll move to consider supporting this application as well. And all this in favor. Well, any further questions, comments, concerns?
Robert used the best.
I did say that at one point, I brought that up in the committee meeting, I complained, I said, the only thing I have against this is that your brisket sells out. And they laughed. That was- All right, all those in favor of supporting the substantial change to federal state application, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? 7 up and unanimous. And lastly, coming from July's ABC committee is mixed. They are new business coming into the neighborhood, 2427 18th Street. Similar to last item, Class C restaurant license application. Also similarly, they seem to be pretty by the books, pretty communicative, good, the most you can tell from the committee meeting, good impression, and if further comments.
They put a fortune into the building and beautiful. I knew the building beforehand. The one comment that did come up was that they thought they had applied for an entertainment endorsement. And that had not been referred to us. I would like it made clear that while the committee supported their license application, it did not support an entertainment endorsement because that was not before us. And if they want an entertainment endorsement, it should come back before us. Because that was not something that we addressed.
That's an important point. I believe that we did get a separate, so that was I think after our committee.
It is after our committee.
So we can address that at our committee meeting this month as well.
Which we addressed this.
2427. So these are the seasons and sessions. Which is on the east side.
No. I forgot what it was, but the inside of the building is just absolutely beautiful. It really is.
Any other questions? Regarding this item? All right, I said, came out of the committee.
Yeah. No, it's not.
One question in from the online attendee this time. If there's anyone from the business to speak on this, so I'm not sure. I don't see anyone. If anyone is here to represent them, would like the same thing. Certainly welcome to.
No raised hands.
Doesn't look like it.
No.
So I guess the answer is maybe the thing. I'll move. We do have one person. Well,
I believe Maggie wanted to speak on Allen Place.
Okay, yeah. So that'll be in 2 items. Thank you for your patience. So yeah, I'll move to support this, and just to clarify, no entertainment, that was an application that came later for the entertainment endorsement. This is not addressing this. This is solely for the original state of the application for Class C license. No entertainment endorsement. We, if necessary, will address that at the future meeting. All in it, last comments. All right. All is in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 7-0. Let's see. So that takes care of the license stuff. Next will be general business. So similar to the late edition, this is not a late edition. This is for my FMD as well. So there's a property. This is 1836 to 1840. So if you're here for that, please use your hands. Don't let you know it. I'll introduce the item. Do not go through committee for reasons like I mentioned with the item. We all have a recess for accommodating for the recess to so it didn't go through committee, which is of course totally permissible. I live across the street from this property and have been in contact with neighbors quite a bit over it, so I can speak personally that I'm excited and I know neighbors are excited to see some potential change to this building. There were a number of issues. It also is interesting historically. It used to be a school for Latino children and one of school for deaf children that was run by Alexander Graham Bell's wife, I believe. And now they want to turn it into more housing, and it's a good opportunity. So it was also in disarray. So I won't get into that part of it. That's another story. But I'm glad to have the representatives here tonight to give us sort of an introduction to what you're requesting with support from the ANC and just kind of what you're looking to do with this property. So welcome. Patrick, I think you're the one that's out.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
Great. My name's Patrick Bloomfield. I'm the principal at PT Bloom's Development. If you had the opportunity to see the link that Lee sent out, we have been very, we've done a lot of work in this, in one, ANC one, but not in, I believe, this one. We've done it in B, and worked on a lot of stuff close to Meridian Hill. We take a lot of pride in delivering, good quality buildings, good quality product, and we have a pretty good reputation within the community. So I just wanted to point that out. If you had not had a chance to read and look at our stuff, please feel free to visit our website at ptbloomsllc.com. Today I'm here to present a 10-unit building. As Peter was alluding to, that this has a pretty great history, being the first Montessori school that was created by Alexander Graham Bell's wife, which I think will lend itself to some very creative branding later down the road when we've decided to pick the name. But what I'm here to share is basically a 10-unit condo project that will be, a combination of 1836, which is a 2-story structure, and the 4-story larger row house of 1840. They will be combined with a central common stair and elevator shaft, and they will consist of 4 smaller 1-bedroom units, large 1-bedrooms, but on the first level, they'll have 4 units, and then the second and third will have elevator, private access to each side of the elevator, double-sided elevator, ranging at about 1,400 to 1,500 square feet. And then there'll be some larger penthouses at the upper levels that will be more towards the 2,300 to 2,500 square foot range. So our focus is more on kind of an empty nester kind of demographic. Certainly it's home ownership because it's condo. And what we're here today is specifically is to gain support from the ANC for the historic, modifications and renovation for the addition that we're doing on top of 1836. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share this and run you through some of the aesthetics that we are thinking of for this. Expand that so everyone can see. This is a 3-dimensional drawing. This would be 1834 for context. 1836, this is the existing 2-story structure. And then this is 1840, the existing row house. 1842 would be over here, but it's not being shown in this massing. You'll see here later on, we're showing what appears to be glass here. It's just kind of a placeholder for kind of a wrought iron, decorative steel rail. Those will be complemented well over this Juliet kind of balcony opening here. And we wanted to create kind of this industrial square, gritty look that contrasted the traditional styles of either side, and then kind of modern it up a little bit with these kind of louvered stain grade wood panels that have some asymmetry here on how they're installed. The interesting part about this building is, and this may or may not be the case. I mean, we've had many communications with Paul and Jeffrey next door, and also with Nick. We're on great terms, and we're negotiating some construction access agreements. I think they're in support of the project, but I'll let them speak for themselves. And the interesting part is, Anne over at Historic mentioned that the addition here should be held back off the face of the 2-story structure in order to preserve the look at what may or may not have been a community playground. We don't know for sure, but I think we've come to kind of an aesthetic agreement that, and also for floor plans that, this kind of works if we line up this building at the face of 1840. And so that allows this bay to have its own identity. And I think, aesthetically it looks good. Let me go to the next page here, so you can kind of get an idea visually, if you have walked by it, what it looks like. This is 1840, front of 1840. This is 1836, rear of 1836. That would be the view across the street. Not very helpful with the trees there. Let me go to some of the inspiration. This is kind of a street level view. So you'll see that, this mansard hides the penthouse that has 11-foot setback here. So you can't really see that behind the historic structure. You can partially see the penthouse for the more modern building, but I think it blends in well with the community and is not towering over the adjacent structures. This is a site diagram of 1840, and you'll see that you can't visually see that if you're standing at the other sidewalk across the street. So that's helpful in kind of preserving the historic look of that structure. These are demo diagrams on what we intend to keep and not keep. The intention is to sister the existing floor joist and preserve as much as possible. Right here around the dog leg is where we'll be tying in our common stair. So this leg has to kind of disappear, and we'll start expanding the back here of the rear footprint. These are some existing elevations. You'll see that there's a structural support that shows that these slabs have really suffered significant damage to the point where they're deflecting when you walk over them. There's some damage up. We actually have a family of vultures living up there. We have to figure out a way to get them out, but there's some damage to that upper third level roof at 1840 where we'll probably have to cut out a significant portion of the rafters and replace with new. Here's an example of the floor plans. You'll see that we have these smaller units on the first level that accommodate more of a younger single professional. As you step up to the second floor, you'll see that we have private entry access here from the elevator shaft going directly into the unit. We have the stair cores, and you'll see that we're produced a 2-bedroom with den. This footprint is pretty consistent going up. You'll see that, we've kind of figured out a way to balance out the footprints of the building. This projects further at 2 stories. So, we have to, the stair cores and the elevator kind of have to dump off into these, unit hallways at the same place in order for the layouts to work. And I think we figured that out in working with Mrs. Brockett. Again, this is another kind of similar unit structure, 2-bedroom, 2-bath and den, very large kitchens, open areas. We're not trying to squeeze 20 units in here. I mean, I think there's clear evidence that the neighborhood, is, with the success of 1844, that, this neighborhood desires kind of some larger flats that are a little bit more livable. These are the penthouses, similar structure in terms of, 2-bedroom and den on the first level of that penthouse. That steps up to a second communal area, roof decks that get southern exposure, another roof deck in the front for kind of a private master bath or master bedroom, I'm sorry. And then let's step into the aesthetics here. So we drew our inspiration from this building. Our architect is JKA, Jonathan Kuhn Architecture. They've done many of the projects in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, Jonathan, had some emergency detached retina surgery, so he could not be here tonight. So I decided that I would present for him. But you'll see that the inspiration we're drawing from, we like the brick color too. I think it kind of blends in. It has enough of the aggregate where it's mixing like that dark and lighter color, which will give it some good texture. And then we've created this kind of gritty look, and then complemented that with this asymmetry of these louvers, stained grade louvers that would be integrated into the openings. On this inspiration photo, they've used more of a modern vertical picket, but we thought that it would be more appropriate at the Juliet's to do something like this that had a little bit more flair to it, kind of added a little bit more of the historic feel gave it this transitional look of modern and historic tying together. And you'll see that that occurs at this level at the 3rd floor, and then we're tying those metal accents together above the 2nd story right here, and that's where this appears to be glass. That'll actually be wrought iron, and then we'll have wrought iron at the upper penthouse level. So you'll have 3 accents that are complementing this very gritty design with the modern windows. I think it'll look really clean and blend into the neighborhood well, while not sticking out, not being an eyesore. I think it's kind of well done, pretty classy in terms of my opinion, but hopefully y'all agree. And then the back, we'll probably add some more trim details in here, but it'll be pretty vanilla in the back. We'll try to keep it as low key as possible. Light lap siding profiles. It'll have more of a kind of a suburban look in the back. So we'll have PVC column wraps and metal rails at the balconies, and then we'll probably figure out a way to break this up a little bit more. But essentially, this is what it is from a massing perspective. And that's pretty much it for the presentation. I'd love to open it up for questions if anyone has any.
This is just on the HPRB issues. It's no zoning, it's all zoning by right?
That's gonna be my question. Could you just clarify, Patrick? You're specifically requesting support for the historic preservation board because of periods of buildings within Washington Heights historic district. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, you're a little hard to hear, but I believe, let me explain kind of what we're trying to accomplish tonight. So we will be seeking relief, minor relief for lot occupancy in the back, but that's going to come at another meeting. We have kind of a timing constraint on our due diligence to get kind of approval on HBRB and the aesthetics of this. And so I'm hoping to get support for that in anticipation of our 9/28 HBRB hearing. We will be coming back and explaining in more detail, probably in October or early November, the BZA component of this. But essentially what's occurring there, just to give you kind of a brief understanding of it, is because of where we're holding this 2-story structure in the front as a result of preserving the structure and then also preserving the setback, that is stretching the footprint of the building, which is requiring more lot occupancy than what we can gain by right.
So just to clarify, that would be, the zoning question would be addressed in the future. It's a separate, this is generic, specifically historic foundation.
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
Yeah, Peter. I feel like it's getting off the mic or something. Just to clarify, tonight is specifically historic preservation. Zoning questions will be at a future date, unrelated to tonight's specific request for support. Correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
I believe.
I was gonna say, I move we support their application for the Historic Preservation Review Board with the caveat that this has this doesn't apply to any zoning, any BZA case.
Just in case that wasn't picked up, Commissioner Shapiro moved to support the historic preservation application, completely separate from zoning, just as a point of clarification. I'll second that. I do believe we might have at least one neighbor. I'm not sure if we're on, my computer's dead, so we'll just check. There might be, if you're here to speak on this from Calgary, please raise your hand. It's not so I'll just ask, Patrick, I know you've spoken, at least to the best of my knowledge, you've spoken with some of the immediate neighbors who are pretty invested in this. So the building overshadow theirs. Just could you brief us on, to whatever extent you can, how those have gone and how finding compromise, what kind of points of concern has gone? From what I've heard, it's gone very well. I just want to hear from you as well.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great meeting with Paul and Jeff earlier today, and we're just trying to figure out, the logistics of it and come into some agreement on how to go about doing that. And it's been very cordial, and I can't speak highly enough of them being, very, very pleasant and easy to work with. And so, I think we will find an agreement that will make everyone happy. Nick, same way. He's the owner of 1842. We've been in great communication. We've had construction access agreements that, are under review with both of them. And I think we're going to get to an agreement. I think they're both in support of our project.
Thank you for that. That's two impressions. They're great neighbors. I'm glad that you're working well together to find a compromise. That's what a good neighborhood does, man. So any other questions, comments, concerns from commissioners, online or in person? All right, so the motion on the floor is to support this, to vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? One opposed. Oh, pardon me. You voted opposition, you said? No. Oh, and then the one abstention is motion. Okay, so it passes 6-0-1. Thank you very much, Patrick, for that tonight.
Thank you very much.
And we'll move right along to our last item, or excuse me, second to last item. I believe Kate and Aggie will be promoted to panelists to speak on 2023 Allen Place.
Yes. There they are.
Good evening, commissioners. Can you hear me? It's Maggie Fitzpatrick.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. I think I may have met some of you when I served on the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. So nice to see those of you who I've met. I've lived on Allen Place since for 20 years. And my wife and I are undergoing plans for renovation to the house so that we can successfully age in place. We do have letters of support from 3 of our neighbors that are adjacent to us, and enjoy great relationships with neighbors on the block. So we're excited about the project, and I have our architect, who is fabulous, Kate Donahue, who will join to give you an overview of the project. And happy to answer any questions. Kate, take it away.
Thanks, Maggie. And thanks, Peter, for helping to get on the agenda kind of last minute, the last minute scramble. I appreciate it.
Personal applause. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. Let's see. So as Maggie mentioned, we're 2023 Allen Place is the address. We are in ANC 1C04. And let's see here, the north side of Allen Place, roughly about halfway on the block, halfway down the street. That's the front view, front aerial view, rear aerial view. And essentially the bulk of the project is that we're going to be demoing. There's a current 2-story rear addition that we're going to be demolishing and rebuilding a new 2-story addition in its place, slightly larger. But there's also some work on the front of the property that we're going to be doing. This is their house right here, 2023. And this is the 2-story rear addition that we're going to be removing. As Maggie said, we have multiple letters of support from the neighbors, which is both on the adjacent side and then a couple down the way. As mentioned, on the front of the property, we're going to be replacing their front door to the main house, as well as the front door to the basement. We are also looking into possibly replacing all of the windows on the front of the house. Budget, it's contingent on budget, but for all of those units, they would be matching what's existing, with the exception of the front door to the basement. We've been in touch with Ann Brockett, and she's helped us out quite a bit. The front door to the main house will match exactly. The windows on the front facade will match exactly what's there. This front door to the basement, just to give them a little bit more privacy, we're proposing that it would be a quarter light door instead. There's also a slight new addition, as in the last couple of weeks. I had talked with Maggie and her wife Mary about potentially turning this. We're going to be replacing these front steps. Currently, the risers are all different heights, and it's created some water issues down in the basement. So we're going to be replacing these steps to make the risers all equal, lowering this area away, to eliminate those water issues. But also in doing that, we have decided that we'd like to turn this curved step into an L-shaped step. And I've reviewed that with Ann Brockett, and she says that that's acceptable. We're not taking up much more of the front yard, and this retaining wall is not going to be any higher than is existing. It's basically going to be a grade, maybe a brick higher. That's essentially the extent of what we're doing on the front of the house. An elevation showing that. Some details of that door. As mentioned, the front door is going to match what's there exactly. It's going to be a wood door as a replacement. Windows double hung with sashes, the grills to match, and the basement door we already talked about. As mentioned, the rear addition, it's about a 10-foot by 10-foot addition right now with a small stoop. We're going to be demolishing that, making it. It's going to be extending past the neighbors to Plan South slightly. We're going to be creating a bigger deck just to make more usable space in the backyard, or more of a connection, I would say, with the first floor into the backyard. We do have plans showing. This is really just the basement plan showing where the footers are. Just going inside a little bit. We're going to be redoing their kitchen. Creating a den. We're actually moving a wood burning fireplace, and I'll show you the section where that comes into play. On the second floor, we're reconfiguring a couple of bathrooms and just kind of renovating the back half of the house. As I mentioned, we are relocating the wood burning fireplace into the den. Which requires a chimney stack, obviously, but that is not visible from the street. As you can see, the mansard roof covers the height of that chimney. So, and then we have a few exterior rear views, and this actually is a graphic oversight on our part. This window that's currently in the dining room is going to be replaced as well, but it's going to match the rest of the windows for a consistent look. And in terms of materials, on the back facade, we're going to be, so the front facade, the windows are going to be white. On the back facade, we're going to change it up and do these beautiful black steel doors and then match the windows. The windows aren't going to be steel, but they're going to match with the black color. Beautiful wood deck and nice black railings. It's a little bit more modern on the back, as you can see, but it's actually, there's a lot of elements that are quite similar to what's existing. The horizontal lap siding, that's currently what's on the back, and we're going to be bringing that back in. The existing brick on the back here is not going to be touched, other than creating a this masonry opening is getting a little bit wider just to get a little bit more light in the room. But other than that, the brick is staying as is. And then just a few extra sided elevations, which really aren't that helpful. So, yeah, so that is, that's basically what we are proposing to do, and looking for support from the ANC. We are on the agenda for, I guess technically not officially yet, but we're on the agenda for the September 28th HPRB meeting. So, which is kind of why we had to scramble to get on this, into this meeting today. So, any questions from anyone?
Thank you so much. That was very thorough, very helpful. Any questions, comments?
Just to clarify, there's no zoning we will be speaking later, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Is there any zoning relief that you will be seeking later or at the same time? This is purely for HPRD.
This is purely for HPRB. Sorry, Maggie. This is purely for HPRB, no zoning.
And unless I'm mistaken, it looks to me like the wall that is there going into the basement was added within the last 50 years. And it looks like the steps are flagstone, correct?
Correct. On the front,
Well, I think
correct.
it's gonna end up being more historical when you get rid of them.
I'm sorry.
Kate, I'm having trouble hearing him. I think he said something about getting rid of the flagstone. I think it was there when we bought it.
Removing, jokingly saying that removing some of the existing materials could potentially make the building more historic than if it's left there.
I see. I see.
And apologies for the audio quality again. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Anyone, I don't think anyone has anything raised. All right, well, this did not come from the committee, so we'll be a second. I'll move to support this application to interpret resolution. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. Thank you both for coming tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Pleasure to see you all. Bye.
Bye.
And last item on the agenda is late edition tonight to address our treasury concerns fiscal year 2024.
This is both. The first item will be fiscal year 2023 third quarter financial report, which you have before you guys. So we have to approve that first. I don't know whether it takes a motion or I guess I move to approve it.
I'll second this.
It's self-explanatory. We didn't spend hard.
Since Scanner Reviews had to do it, it had an August recess, we're catching up with our paperwork basically. Most of the course is to pass the third quarter financial report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opinion? And then the second item.
The second item is our FY 24 budget. We have our allocation, what our allocation will be, and I'll base it off of the allocation. And I've made it so that I've done it in a way that I think we will have the most leeway in how we spend our money. I put most of the money under the definition of other. And like I said, the auditor may object to that. But this way, we really can have it will be a lot easier for us to spend our money the way we want to spend it. And any questions about that proposed budget?
I guess just one point of clarification, you addressed this before, but basically, we're shifting a lot of personnel services into other to be expended on people who are almost considered personnel, but legally speaking not, so right? For taxes.
Correct. We, as long as we meet all of the IRS levels, that they're not personnel, we're fine.
So yeah, here's some power up when you say. Any other questions, comments from commissioners?
When do we have to pass by?
We do not have to pass the fiscal year 2024 budget. Now, we could conceivably pass it in October. We would have to pass it in October.
So,
Well, I mean, if you didn't want, if the commission did not want to pass it tonight, it could pass it in October, and we would be able to spend money on it. Because, but if we did not pass it in October, we wouldn't actually be able to spend any money in October. Until we pass the budget, we cannot spend money.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that's because October falls as the first month of fiscal year. Any other questions? I personally, prefer to vote on it in October since I have to look at it, which is not really anyone's fault. That's just one meeting from both standards. Not that you did a lot of work and I think that's great. I was very helpful. Well, go ahead. Two minutes.
As the Office of ANC's, given any advice on the proposal to, reclassify a lot of expenses under other, or have you not spoken to the office?
They're actually not the problem. The auditor's office is the issue. And no, they have not given us any direction on it. As I said, they may object to doing it this way, but it makes it easier for us. I will comment that I will be hiking for our October meeting.
What is the risk if they object? Could it,
We would go back and take the money that's under other, and we would then differentiate.
but it wouldn't hurt us in October if we voted on this and then they objected, we would have the time to revisit.
Yes.
So what I would propose, and I don't think we can figure this out, okay, we have to out by 9 o'clock here. Yeah, 12 minutes. So would we be able to discuss this in more detail at the next CSE meeting on September 27th? Because that would affect our committee this week with grants. And we still have 2 grants that I don't think we've actually paid out for. Which we still need to discuss, so that's fine, but I think maybe that's the committee, we can discuss it, and then I can bring it back to the full ANC in October. For this vote on if you are going to be on.
Well, I think you should, I think if, I don't object to us deferring this to October. I don't know that it needs to go to a committee or that it appropriately goes to a committee.
It's just more, it's because of timing, because it's tonight, we have to be out of the.
No, I don't object to
Okay.
that. The full commission discussing in October, and depending on whether I have Wi-Fi, I just don't know whether I'm gonna have Wi-Fi, that's physically where I'll be.
Right, so I just,
You can make the adjustments, I'm not wedded to this.
right,
I just thought this was the easiest way to do it. And we can always, just because the money is under grants, doesn't mean that we can't then take it and rather that it's under others, we can then move it to grants if we want to. But by putting it under other, we can conceivably avoid one of their restrictions on grants.
Would you be open to, voting on a, would you be open to voting on it here, but also referring to the discussion at PSC, and then potentially, if there's an amendment, we could vote on an amendment at the October meeting.
I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think it should go to a committee, for the simple reason that it's a matter for the entire commission to discuss.
Certainly, the entire commission would vote on it ultimately, but maybe if there's, more time for discussion at the committee.
It doesn't. If you want to, fine. I mean, I obviously, I just don't, it's a little odd to put a commission-wide budget before a single committee. This is the normal place that it would come from would be from a treasurer for a finance committee.
Weird transition. We switched to this mic to see if it's any better, so this is not currently being picked up on. If someone's watching, people comment. If we're not heard, just say so, we'll switch back. Continue. All right, so I missed an important part of that.
The question that Commissioner DePiro doesn't think this should be referred to a committee because it's a commission-wide issue. I suggested passing it today and then having a longer discussion at the committee and then considering an amendment in October. That's just, but
The advantage of speaking about the advantage of discussing this at committee would basically be that if you're available, then you can.
I actually won't be that. That's exactly what I'm.
So then, yeah, well, in that case, I mean, at least you go ahead.
I just can't imagine, even if it's a small amount of money, I can't imagine that the auditor or whatever.
Oh, the auditor is the auditor is like looking at $50. So,
Yeah, I can't imagine that they would just go with a blank budget.
well,
I think that what we should do, as what Dan is suggesting, and that would give us a chance to explore what we could break it down, and this is an option. Yeah, this is something to consider other, but just to leave it other. I'm not comfortable.
see, the reason I don't think it should go to a committee is that there might be other committees that think that, let us take on, let us say the ABC committee wants to fund a noise study on Friday and Saturday nights. So that's why, once again, the other thing to me, you know, it doesn't stop the committee, the PSE committee, from taking a grant, reviewing a grant, and then coming back and saying, hey, let's move money from other to grants. Or if it's not a grant that fits the parameters that the ANC office has set forth for grants, it might be something that we can do directly ourselves to avoid that issue of grants.
The question on the current for FY23, does whatever money we have left over, does it roll over? Or do
It rolls over, so we have money.
Okay.
And that's, you know, we should have more than this.
Right. My concern is just that the 2 grants that we do need to.
I only knew about one.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's one, but I know someone who's going to submit one for the September meeting. So there will be another grant.
Yeah, but that would not, we could,
That's for the next fiscal year.
it would not be such a bad idea. If that, there'd be no way to get it in September. Let me, the one the one I know about.
Good friend. 4,000. It's the Marie Green.
Yeah. That might be. What's the nature, what are they doing with the 4,000?
I have to look up the specifics of their grant again, but it's part of the food stamps program that they do yearly, and they've gotten this grant from us multiple times.
It might be better, because I worry about the auditor saying, or the ANC office saying, this grant is something that DCPS can provide, even if they
But
don't.
they did get money from, they need supplement to what they already got. It wasn't enough. So
So
they needed additional funds.
that might be the type of thing that, what are they buying with it, that we could buy directly and give.
But that was, we already as a committee or commission approved it this quarter, this fiscal year.
I understand that, and unfortunately, it wasn't at that. It might, just because we approve it doesn't mean that we can always do it. You know, one of the things that we might want to do is install cameras, but we can't give a grant to install cameras anywhere because the city already has that grant program.
So probably need to find some sort of point of conclusion in the next, 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I would suggest rolling it over to October then. All right,
for similar reasons to what Commissioner Jones was saying, I mean, it's a creative way to try to address the things you address, but also I would hate to see it get to the point where we end up having, I don't know, I guess worst case scenarios, we have expenditures partially suspended or something because the auditor wants to review this, and I would want to avoid the risk of that situation. Not saying it's plausible, but if that would be possible, that's my feelings. And we can also, maybe a solution we can discuss offline now that everything's amongst ourselves through our emails or however, just to get whatever information we want from you so that in your absence, we can make as informed decisions possible. I feel like that's a fair compromise. I've seen the heads nod and we're close to 9, so I'm going to move that we postpone this item to our October 2023 C1C general meeting. All right, yeah. Can I get a second for that motion? Have a second, Mr. Jones. Any other thoughts, concerns, questions about doing that? All right, I really, again, appreciate your work. I know that this is from you and from past treasurers and treasurers and other ANCs. I know that it's truly the most thankless job of all the jobs. So yeah, it's definitely, I think, that us to make sure that we're doing things as thoroughly as possible. It just is, the money is where the issues come up with, or whenever there's problems, it's because of the money. So we want to make sure that we're crossing our T's, et cetera. So yeah, let's put it to a vote. And all those in favor of moving this item to October, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And so it is done. Thank you, everyone that came tonight. Person, so you can hear us still if you're online watching. Thank you as well. Appreciate the patience as well. Better technical issues or better technical quality of